The digital clock on my bedside table read 3 a.m. time. That no honest news ever travels outside the relentless Seattle rain drummed against the window pane. A rhythmic weeping sound that usually lulled me into a deep slumber, but tonight the shrill, piercing cry of the telephone shattered the silence of my bedroom, slicing through the darkness. Like a serrated knife, my heart hammered against my ribs, an involuntary reflex honed by 30 years. On the force, even in retirement, the instinct never leaves you. You answer the phone in the middle of the night, and your body prepares for a tragedy. I fumbled for the lamp, the yellow light flooding the room and stinging my tired eyes. I snatched the receiver, my hand trembling slightly, not from age, but from a sudden icy premonition. Grandma, help me. The voice was unrecognizable. At first distorted by a thick wet panic and the echo of a cavernous room, it was a sound that made my blood run cold. It was Sophie, my 19-year-old granddaughter, whose voice was usually vibrant with the excitement of her college art projects or her latest culinary experiments. Now she sounded like a wounded animal. Backed into a corner, Sophie, I sat up clutching the duvet. Sophie, honey, breathe. Where are you? I am at the 4th precinct. Her voice cracked, dissolving into a jagged sob that tore at my soul. Julian hit me, Grandma. He came into my room, but now he is telling them I attacked him. They have me in handcuffs. They don't believe me. The name of the precinct hit me harder than the accusation. The 4th precinct, my old stomping grounds, the place where I had built a reputation as a detective who could smell a lie from a block away. But now, hearing my granddaughter's terror, I wasn't detective Martha Vance. I was just a terrified grandmother. They are booking me, Grandma. Please come. Hold on, Sophie. Don't say another word to anyone. Not a single word. I am on my way. I slammed the phone down, the adrenaline surging through my veins, burning away the last remnants of sleep. I moved with a mechanical precision, throwing off the covers and grabbing the heavy wool coat from the back of the chair. My fingers felt stiff as I buttoned it, my mind racing through the scenarios. Julian Thorne, my daughter Karen's husband, a wealthy real estate developer with a smile that looked like it had been practiced in a mirror, and eyes that reminded me of a shark circling a swimmer. I had never trusted him from the moment Karen introduced him polishing off a bottle of expensive wine at my dinner table while making subtle derogatory comments about Karen's appearance. I knew he was poison, but Karen's sweet, fragile Karen, blinded by grief after the death of her first husband, had clung to him like a life raft. I grabbed my car keys and stepped out into the stormy night. The cold air bit at my face. As I climbed into my old Buick, the engine roared to life, a comforting, familiar growl, and I peeled out of the driveway, the tires screeching against the wet asphalt as I navigated the winding streets toward downtown Seattle. My knuckles turned white on the steering wheel. I wasn't just driving to a police station. I was driving into a war zone, and my opponent was a man who knew how to manipulate perception better than anyone I had ever met. The precinct smelled exactly as I remembered it. A nauseating cocktail of stale coffee, floor wax, and human misery. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a sickly pallor on everyone inside as I pushed through the double doors. The desk sergeant, a young man I didn't recognize, looked up from his computer with a bored expression that quickly shifted to alarm when he saw the look on my face. I didn't wait for him to speak. I marched up to the counter, slamming my hand down on the linoleum. I am Martha Vance, retired detective, badge no. 409, you have my granddaughter Sophie Clark in custody. I want to see her. Now the commotion drew attention from the hallway leading to the interrogation rooms. A figure emerged. It was Detective Ray Higgins. My stomach clenched. Years ago, I had trained Higgins. He was a rookie with potential back then, eager to please, but with a weak moral compass that swayed whichever way the wind of convenience blew. Seeing him now with his bloated waistline and shiftless eyes, I knew the situation was worse than I thought. Martha, Higgins said, his voice dripping with a false, oily sympathy. I didn't expect to see you down here. Look, it is a messy situation. Where is she, Ray? I cut him off, my voice low and dangerous. Higgins sighed, running a hand through his thinning hair. She isn't holding Martha. The girl went crazy. She stabbed Mr. Thorne with a pair of drafting scissors. The guy is bleeding out in the medical room right now. We had to restrain her. Don't you dare lie to me, Ray. I stepped closer, invading his personal space. I know my granddaughter. She doesn't have a violent bone in her body. If she hurt him, it was because she had no other choice. Now take me to her. He hesitated, glancing toward the closed door of the captain's office, but old habits die hard. He couldn't refuse a direct order from me, even if I no longer carried the badge. He nodded sharply and swiped his keycard, buzzing. The heavy security door opened. The sight that awaited me in the interrogation room nearly brought me to my knees. Sophie was huddled in a metal chair, looking smaller than I had ever seen her. Her wrists were handcuffed to the table, the metal biting into her delicate skin, but it was her face that ignited a fire of rage in my chest. Her left cheek was swollen, blooming with a dark purple bruise, and her lip was split, a trickle of dried blood running down her chin. Her shirt was torn at the shoulder. She looked up as I entered, her eyes wide and glassy with shock. Grandma, she whispered the word, barely escaping her throat. I motioned for the uniformed officer in the corner to unlock the cuffs. He looked at Higgins, who gave a reluctant nod as soon as her hands were free. Sophie collapsed into my arms, her body shaking so violently that her teeth rattled. I held her tight, stroking her hair, whispering meaningless comforts, while my eyes scanned the room, cataloging her injuries. These were defensive wounds. The bruise on her face was from a backhand strike. The tear in her shirt suggested a struggle. Someone grabbing her. Tell me, Sophie, tell me exactly what happened, I said, pulling back to look her in the eye. She took a shuddering breath, wiping her nose with the back of her hand. Mom is out of town at a conference in Portland. It was just me and Julian. I was in my room studying for my art history final. It was late, maybe 11. I heard him coming up the stairs. He was stumbling. I could smell the scotch from the hallway. She paused, her eyes darting to Higgins, who was leaning against the wall with his arms crossed. He knocked, but before I could answer, he opened the door. He said he just wanted to say goodnight, but he didn't leave Grandma. He kept coming closer. He started talking about how grown up I was, how I looked so much like Mom did when they first met. He touched my hair. I felt a surge of nausea. It was the Predator's Playbook. Chapter 1. Isolate the victim, feign affection, and cross boundaries incrementally. I told him to get out. Sophie continued, her voice gaining a little strength. I told him he was drunk, but he laughed. He said I was being ungrateful. Then he grabbed my arm. He tried to pull me toward the bed. I screamed, and that is when he hit me. He slapped me so hard I fell against the drafting table. He was coming at me again, unbuckling his belt. She choked on the words, unable to continue. I squeezed her hand, signaling she didn't need to say more. I knew the rest. I grabbed the scissors from the table. She whispered, I didn't think I just swung. I think I got him in the shoulder. He screamed and stumbled back. I ran down the stairs and locked myself in the bathroom and called 911. But when the police came, Julian was waiting at the door. He told them I had a psychotic break. He told them I attacked him for no reason. I stood up, turning to face Higgins. You heard her, Ray. This is self-defense, attempted rape. Why is Julian Thorne not in cuffs? Higgins smirked, a gesture that made me want to slap him. It is a nice story, Martha, but we have evidence to the contrary. Thorne says he went up to check on her because he heard her crying. He says she was manic, ranting about failing her classes, and when he tried to calm her down, she lunged at him. And we have video, I asked, narrowing my eyes. Interior security cameras, Higgins said smugly. Thorne installed a high-end system last month. We reviewed the footage from the hallway. It shows Thorne walking to the door, standing there for a second, and then Sophie bursting out and stabbing him. There is no footage of him entering the room. He never went in. Martha, she came out and attacked him. My mind raced. Sophie said he was in the room. The video said he wasn't. But cameras don't lie unless they are made to. I want to see that footage, I demanded. Higgins shrugged. Be my guest, but it is pretty open. and shut, he led me to the observation room through the one-way glass of the adjacent room. I saw Julian Thorne. He was sitting comfortably, a bandage on his shoulder, his suit jacket draped over the chair. He looked pristine save for the bandage. He was chatting with an officer, looking for all the world like a concerned father, shaking his head with feigned sadness. The sight of him made my skin crawl. Higgins tapped on the keyboard, bringing up the video file. I watched closely. The timestamp showed 11:14 p.m. The hallway was empty. Then Julian appeared, walking towards Sophie's door. He paused. The video seemed to stutter for a fraction of a second. A blink, and you miss. It glitched, then abruptly the door flew open, and Sophie lunged out, striking him. See, Higgins said. He never crossed the threshold. I leaned in closer to the monitor. Play it again, Ray, he sighed, but complied. I watched the timestamp in the corner of the screen, 111 for 10111 for 11111 for 12, and then it jumped 11:15. You 48 seconds. There's a jump, Ray. I pointed at T.